Okay, we're back to complete the half-blind dovetail. Last time we were here, well, we cut that one, but this is one that's already fitted. You can see I have it labeled A, goes to A, put it on the inside of the joint so that way when the time comes to clean all of those pencil marks or pen marks off, I can still see what joint goes where, because once all the pieces are clean, without that we're going to take away that triangle at some point, they're going to look identical. You know, it's going to be hard to fit. Although with the that little rabbit on the inside, it may only be able to be done. No. You can put it the other way. So by labeling, I know that A is going to go into that A. We're going to do the same thing here. Last time we were in, we cut this joint with the little rabbit. You saw how that was very useful putting it together. We have created the marks there and marked the line we're going to cut to. So now we're actually going to cut the joint. And this one is the half-line dovetail is a little bit different than the through dovetail. Through dovetail, you're going to go all the way through the joint. Here we got to cut it in such a way that get my pencil, that we're leaving this section here. So we can't cut all the way through because that'll ruin. We want to leave this front edge intact so that when we look at the drawer, it's a full, it's a full wide piece. You don't see the ends of the dovetail. So what I'm going to do, and the benefit of this is this is one of the places where you can be as inaccurate as you want, just as long as you're staying on the waist side of the line, which I have marked out. So when I'm cutting, I'll show you in a second. Got to cut it with two distinct angles. So right now I am going to look at the angle on top, and now I'm going to kind of focus on, I'm going to let the saw sit in there while I saw down this side. Being very careful that I do not go past my line on the top, because that will be seen and hard to hide. This is curved a little bit. I want to straighten it. Okay. And just for convenience, I'm going to do the same angle over here because my body's already in that position. Kind of an economy of motion. Blowing the dust out of the way so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. And my marker came out of the knife line that I had made, so it's hard for me to see. That's right there. Okay. Now, like I say, I don't really need to be perfectly tight and accurate. You're not trying to get this off the saw. I can feel the line with my thumbnail. I don't know if you noticed, I just kind of pushed. I was a little close, so I pushed the saw over with my thumb. Right there, I'm using my thumbnail to kind of figure out where the line is. And that's a little too inaccurate. Again, doesn't matter because I'm on the waist side. So because of that, I have a lot of flexibility. Okay. Kind of using the front end of my teeth to get close to the line, and then I'm dropping my hand. All right. So let me show you what we have. We've got our knife line, we got our cut lines, our saw lines cut well off the line. If I was cutting a regular through dovetail, I'd want to get closer, so I have less to take off. But here I want to be able to take that off. Now that I can see where my lines are coming down to, I am going to get the saw out of the way. I'm going to knife that in. All right, so I'm looking for the piece that I'm going to put in here. Theoretically, these two are going to be really close, but because we hand planed everything, things may be slightly different. So I'm taking not the front edge. I guess I could, because it's the same edge here. The beam of my square, I'm going up to that. I'm not doing this like I would do on a regular dovetail. I'm using the actual tails themselves because I made it purposely thinner using my fingertips. That feels perfectly good. This is an internal corner, so if I were to go all the way through, that would be perfectly fine, but I don't like to do that. The first one was just kind of to set where I want the line to go, and then I get progressively deeper and harder when I push down, because I want a nice line. I don't know if you can see it. These two fingers and my thumb are gripping against each other. Those are fairly tight, and these two are pushing pretty significantly down, so that way the square doesn't move. Just basic technique. Going to, oops, use the widest. Yeah, I'm not so sure. That's a 1/2 inch. Let's go down to the 3/8. Oh, and I got a little friend on me there. Spider was stowing away. All right. So far it looks similar. I don't want to move that line, so I'm going to put my chisel kind of right on the line and then move it off just a bit. So that way, as the bevel pushes back, I do not have to worry about moving that knife line. As you move the knife line, the tails are going to sit in too far. It's going to be recessed too far in. Means we're going to have to take more on the front piece off, making the drawer thinner, or not thinner, but shorter than I wanted. So it's going to leave a gap on one of the sides. Like I said, I do have some room to play with because I made each piece fit very tightly into. I made each piece fit very, very tightly into the opening. So I do have room. I am going to have to take some off in order to fit it properly. So we're just going to keep doing this, and this will get a little bit different than a standard dovetail. So now I'm going to go more into that line. Yeah, but I'm not going to give it a hard whack. I'm just going to kind of letting the weight of the mallet do the work. And now I'm in that line. I can feel, I just felt the chisel drop into it. And here, I'm going to do something a little bit different that we want to do on a through dovetail, because I don't need to really worry about pounding through and ripping out the inside. So I'm just going to split out the piece that I don't need. Just makes it go a little bit faster. And this angles in, but I'm not going to really follow that too closely here. Like I said, I don't have to be super accurate on this yet. A lot of it's going to be done with the chisel later. And I don't think I'm going to do both. I'm just going to end up doing one to camera. But for now, we're going to keep pounding out the two. In and out of the vise for safety. Yeah, I don't want to be trying to do this standing up on edge. And I'm not really hitting this hard. I'm going to try to take this piece out. I don't want to split down the rest of the face, but by putting that cut in there, I can come down, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and that'll split out just fine. And rinse and repeat. Keep doing that until we get down to the line. We're getting closer. It does go pretty fast if I'm not sitting here yammering on. I can give my a little bit more oomph to the with the mallet, because I don't really have to worry about the chisel pushing that wall back, because I have a good deal of resistance now. Now that there's more wool there, more wood, more meat on there, I don't have to worry so much. Here, I'm just trying, like I'm trying to line the chisel up with the depth of the cut we just made. All right. And I don't know if you guys can see in there, but the depth of my chisel cut, or maybe that way's better. The depth of the chisel cut is the same as the bed that I'm on here, and I'm going to ultimately go down to this line. And we are getting there pretty quick. Again, if I wasn't sitting here talking, I very well would be finished with this part. As we get closer, we do want to make sure we don't go through the front. That would be ugly and disastrous, because if you remember, we picked at this piece because this piece and that one came off the same board. So I don't want to, I guess, theoretically I could replace it, put a different piece in there, but I purposely went in and set it up so that way it is the same board. And I don't want to lose that. So we are going to proceed with care. I just switched to a wider chisel because the dovetail is flaring out. So I can get a wider chisel in there, makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to use the smaller one to clean up. And that might be the last chopping cut I take, because I think I'm getting... you know what? I'm going to use a little bit of a judgment call, and I'm going to... There's a lot of meat left on that one. There we go. Okay, so now we've got these sockets in there, but you can tell I'm still way off the lines, and now is where we fix that. And I'm only going to do one to camera so you can see what it entails. I am not going to go into my line just yet. I'm going to come a little bit off, and I'm not even going to use the mallet because I'm so close on this one. I'm just going to take off some of the waste wood, and I will, as I get closer and closer, right now my chisel is in that line, and I think, okay. Do the same from the other side. I've got a big piece on the side here. Just going to try to take that out, get rid of some of the resistance. Problem with doing this going straight up and down is the grain may take me off in a different place that I don't want, and you can offset that by coming in from the side and doing like a little cross grain cut here. Very light tap. I'm kind of holding back on the mallet because I do not want the grain to come away from me. There, going to clean out some of this stuff. I am not getting directly in the corners. I'll show you that in a minute. See, like, here's a pretty good example of what I was just trying to avoid. Let's see if we can get a good image of this in here. The grain started splitting and diving into the wood a little bit. You can see the raggedness on the inside. It's not terrible, and then by taking really small cuts, I kind of avoided the worst of it. Get that out of the way. So now I'm going to come down here and just come into the side, and you won't get as much of the blowout by going across the grain. So now there is quite a bit left on this back edge, actually a little bit more than the other side. So I'm going to slowly come down, chip that out. I'm going to use a slightly wider chisel and kind of going to go in the middle, not taking big bites at all. Almost kind of having the distance each time, I guess, would be a good way of looking at it, I'm trying to take off half the distance, so each time you go, that half gets a little smaller and smaller until finally you just can't help but fall right into the knife line we made last time. And you notice I'm not going into the corners, just going, I'm going straight up and down. I want this to be perfectly parallel to the front, which is going to correspond to these, which we took some time to make sure that these edges are square to the face, and that's going to help ensure right now we're in the same spot. I'm going to go right into the knife line, once again, right in the middle, trying to get as perpendicular as I can. If anything, I'm angling the handle towards you, so that way I have a slope. I don't want it to slope the other way, because then I'm compromising the face. Again, very light taps, barely hitting it. And I'm switching back and forth because I can't get this chisel in the front half of the socket, just because it's too wide. All right. So now I've got most of the three sides fairly even. Don't have that one just yet, but I'm going to go into the corners next. And again, I'm waiting to the end to get the corners just because it's a little bit more fine, a little bit more precise, and I don't want as much wood in there to get my way right now. So I'm going to just slowly take off a little bit using the corner of the chisel. This is where a small chisel comes in very handy, like a got a 1/8 inch chisel here. This thing is a bitch to sharpen, excuse my language, but it is. But it excels in this area here because the chisel does not get in its own way. I've got to make sure the bottom is perfectly flat. And now that I've got that, we're going to, no, not even that's too big. Go with a 1/4 inch to kind of ride along the side. And this will take some finagling once I'm ready to place the tail piece in. And I could check that with a square and everything, but I figured the best way to do it is actually place the tail in its recess to see how good we have done here. And I won't keep putting it on camera. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and I will eventually fit it. And like I said, I'm going to take off a little bit here or there. One of the biggest problems usually comes from this, this joint, this line right here, is that the slope on the back side comes in too much, and it pushes the joint out, leaving a gap up here. And that's usually because I did not go perpendicular, and a lot of that is purposeful because I can take more material away. It's a real pain in the neck to add it back and try over again. So slow, small bites. That's how we make the half-blind dovetail. So by the time we're finished here, this will be here. This will be, when the time comes, that'll be like that, giving us the first three edges of the drawer. The back is going to be a little bit different. Back isn't going to go on the corner. The back is going to come more like that, and we'll show you. I'll show you when that happens. Why we do that? What's the reasoning for it? It's a slightly different joint. It's not overly complicated, but it's it allows the back of the drawer to be counterlevered a little bit, so you can pull the drawer all the way out, let it still sit in its recess, and reach the back of it at the same time. And it'll make more sense as we get to that point. So I'm going to keep working on this other joint, get it all put together, and the next thing that we should be doing to camera is getting the back to fit in and making the drawer complete.
All right, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time.